So, you implied that there's going to be an arranged marriage between Chloe and Olivier, and immediately the Demi Lovato tweets, "Get a job, stay away from her," popped into my head.
Welcome to Book Club no Kiseki. I am Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Houck.
And I'm Matt Jorgensen.
And the segment of Falcom's Kiseki series we'll be playing today is the finale of The Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky, Turmoil in the Hidden City. It's not the finale anymore. I'm reading old notes. It is now the third from last episode. So the chapter is the finale, but this will not be our final episode. But before we get into all of that, how's it hanging?
I'm doing good. I have been hanging out with people because people are vaccinated now, and hanging out with people is good.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to do.
Yeah, I never hang out with people, even when there weren't germs everywhere. So maybe I should give that a shot.
Well, I mean, you have a family you live with, at least.
It's true. Do I never hang out with people, or do I always hang out with people? The world will never know.
And I've been playing Resident Evil Village, and I played through it the first time, and I was like, this beginning is really shaky, but it's good. And then I did a second playthrough, skipping all the cutscenes and just using New Game Plus, and it's way easier and basically just a straightforward action game, and really enjoying doing that.
Nice. Sounds fun. I was listening to Attack of the Blood God, I think. No, it was Insert Credit. But I was listening to Insert Credit, and they were talking about Resident Evil, and they said that it was a really good horror action game and not a good Resident Evil game. And as the only Resident Evil stan that I know, do you agree with that sentiment, or is that person just talking hot air?
I don't know what they mean by that, because it's very much a Resident Evil game.
Okay.
I don't see why it wouldn't be a good Resident Evil game.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the series to know like what a departure would be. I just know.
I mean, you acquire emblems and place them in recesses, so I don't know what more they want.
Yeah, that sounds pretty Resident Evil to me.
What they probably mean is that it doesn't feel like you're playing the first Resident Evil game they really liked.
Yeah. That's basically how it turns out, is all of the it's not a real blah 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 is referring to it is not the first one that I played, therefore the good one.
I don't know. It feels like a mix of Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 7, and those are both widely considered really great games.
Yeah. I don't know. It was also on Insert Credit, and they're contrarian, usually in like interesting ways. So they're not like hating on everything, but they probably are like, oh, it's not Resident Evil because they don't have enough straps on their backpack or some crazy shit. But what about you, Matt? How have you been hanging?
I got vaccinated. Yay. It almost killed me.
I'm glad it didn't.
Me too.
That would be counterproductive.
I have stuff I want to do, and being dead is not conducive to that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I did what I always do when I'm sick. I order video games online and read bad manga. So that was cool.
Nice. What did you read this week?
Oh boy. I caught up with... I'm not even going to try and do that. Please don't bully me, Nagatoro. Which is, if you're familiar with the manga Takagi-san, it's that, but both protagonists are idiots instead of just one of them. That one's just a...
I'll trust you.
Yeah. It's just a really competently written, competently drawn slice of life high school romance thing.
Love them.
Yep, and then Dress Up Girlfriend, I think is the how that one's called. That one has a terrible title, and it falls in the long tradition of Japanese media I love that have terrible titles, so I don't like recommending them to people. But it's entirely about cosplay.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, it's the male protagonist makes like these doll things. I think they're wedding dolls that traditionally you set them up. Anyway, one of his classmates is very into cosplay and finds out, oh, you make doll clothing? It's kind of the same thing. So the whole manga is separated in arcs of, I want to cosplay this character. Okay, I'm going to find out about this character, and then I'm going to make the costume, and spoilers, it works out, and you learn something about, like you learn actual stuff about cosplaying, which is pretty cool.
I love that. Reminds me of Bakuman, which is the people that made Death Note were like, what if we made a manga about making Death Note, and we teach people how to make manga through our manga.
Yeah, I love manga where you learn things. I read a light novel, which is like manga without the cool part, about making pizza. It's just all the different ways you can make pizza. Like, this could have just been a cookbook, but you're also telling me a C-grade story at the same time, so I'm in.
Yeah, that's what we sign up for.
I don't ever want to learn anything.
Learning's for squares.
Yes.
I played Resident Evil Village this week, and let me tell you, I did not learn a damn thing from that.
All I learned this week is things I will never put into practice, because I am neither a very tall man nor a very short woman. So none of the cosplay tricks I learned will help.
Nice. I worked and did that a lot, and it was not a very good week for me, but it wasn't like a bad week. It just was like everything is stressful week. But yeah, what is not stressful, except it is the plot of this game. So let's listen to some music, probably the Grand Arena music, and then we'll talk about the plot for this week. So, after we load our save, we see Chloe and Lieutenant Schwartz running away from someone, trying to make their way into Gransel, but it is not going very well. Schwartz tells Chloe to run to the Bracer Guild as fast as she can. Schwartz stays behind to fight off the pursuers and has a big, heroic, awesome, none shall pass moment, which is promptly spoiled because right as Chloe gets into Gransel, Richard and the special ops with our friend Lawrence swoop in on their airship and capture her. So then we fade to not the title card. This is the first time we've had 2 cold opens. But we fade to Olivier in the Erebonian embassy, who's being scolded by Mueller, his handler. It's a incredibly Olivier scene. And we eventually learn that the guy that Olivier has been tracking was found in the Empire because he was investigating why all of the Bracer guilds in the Empire have been attacked one after another. Mueller suspects that someone hired the Jaegers to attack them because no military has been activated that they can tell. Mueller tells Olivier that he should go back to the Empire before he gets caught up in the bad shit that's about to go down in Liberal, but Olivier refuses. That's the sentence I wrote. Doesn't make any sense. I wrote, but Olivier refuses the opportunity to take part in this grand opera. No, he refuses to pass up the opportunity to take part in the grand opera, and he believes that 2, quote, understudies will put on a great performance. Now we get the title card. Finale. Turmoil in the Royal City. We raise curtains on Estelle and Joshua in Zeiss, and they're talking to Murdoch and Kilika about the professor. Murdoch promises to keep the professor safe. We say that we have a message to take to the Queen, and Kilika tells us to get out of Dodge before Richard's investigation begins. Kilika orders us a plane so that we can get there right away, but all airships have been grounded due to, quote, reports of terrorists planning to disrupt the Queen's birthday, and the Intelligence Division is investigating. That's a lot of horseshit. The Intelligence Division is just trying to find Russell before he leaves, so they grounded all the planes so they can investigate and try and find him. We're given the option to wait for the plane to arrive, but Sel and Joshua agree that that would be a bad idea. So we instead book it to Gransel on foot. When we get to the checkpoint, Estelle asks Joshua if he'd like to sit and have lunch together, just the 2 of them. Joshua's like, you mean like we always do and have done this entire trip? And she's like, fine, whatever. Let's just go to Gransel. And he's like, what the heck? Come after 6. So when we're changing our passport or whatever to get through the gate, the guy behind the counter asks them if they're on the date, and Estelle is like, what makes you think that we're on a date? But Josh is just like, nah, she's my sister. And Estelle is like, grumble. We learn that there is a martial arts tournament in this RPG, so we of course have to go join it now. Everything is going smoothly in the checkout process until he notices that we're bracers. All bracers are being held for questioning because the terrorists are supposedly disguising themselves as bracers. But luckily, at that moment, Professor Alba shows up, and he's like, oh, there you are, the bracers that I ordered. I've already passed inspection. I'm vouching for them. We're good to go. Apparently that works, and we get through the border crossing without incident. We make our way through the maps, make it all the way to Gransel, and when we're in Gransel, we go to the Bracer Guild, and we see all of the named bracers that we've met so far, besides Agate. They've all entered the tournament together on a team, and we're like, oh, well, in a bit we'll go by and we'll cheer you on. But first, we talk to Elnon, the guildmaster of the area, and we tell him that we've got to go talk to the Queen, and we clue him in on what's happening. He says that Richard is super popular in the city, so we have to lay low about everything. Like, if we speak ill of him, like, it'll get around and we'll go straight to jail and be disappeared forever. So we decide to go talk to the guards at the castle to see if we can get any information from them. And when we get there, we play dumb, and by playing dumb, we learn that the Queen has been sick and hasn't been making public appearances. Instead, someone has been serving as her proxy. Normally, this would just be the Princess Claudia, but Princess Claudia is missing, so the person being the queen's proxy is none other than Duke Dunan.
These soldiers really like to talk.
They really do. We go up and we're like, hey, do you know where the bathrooms are? And they're like, yeah, well, you can't go to the bathrooms in here because the queen is really sick, and instead, here's all of the gossip.
They don't get paid enough to sign NDAs. They're good.
Yeah. They're just guards. And to be fair, the regular guards probably all are in jail, so this is like their first week on the job. So Estelle and Joshua mentioned that Duke Dunan is a dumbass, and they're like, yeah, but it's fine because his assistant is handling all of the government affairs. You might have heard of him. His name is Richard. And we're like, well, fucking of course. So from there, we head over to the tournament arena to watch our team do the thing. And despite everyone hinting that it was a 1v1 tournament like usual, everyone's on a team. So we watch Karna's team kick total ass. And then the next fight is some generic NPCs versus Zen. And I realized that he's Zen in my version and Zane in your version. Because he was Zen in Japanese, and I guess the person that ported it to the Vita liked that better. But Zane, our big, lovable bear guy, he is a badass, and he takes on all of the other team by himself like it's nothing. The battles play out in as if they were a battle in the game, and it's like 3 turns when Zane has completely destroyed the other team. It's great. After the fighting concludes, Dunan stands up to the mic and he gives a speech that was obviously prepared for him because he's like speaking properly and not like a whiny bitch. But then at the end, he goes off book and promises a royal dinner party to the team who wins. He says the queen won't be there, but everybody else will. So it'll still be a big, spectacular time for the winners. And we're like, aha, obviously Karna is going to win, so we can give her the letter and she can deliver it for us. So we go to ask her to do that, and she and her team are celebrating their win. They mention that Zane came to Liberal just for the fight, but then at the last seconds, the rules were changed to teams, and since he came by himself, he had no one to join with, so he just decided to fight by himself. So Estelle and Joshua get the idea that if they join Zane's team, they'll have the opportunity to win. So you'll have 2 bracer teams in there that might be able to win, that can deliver the message. And so they decide to not tell Karna about the letter and all of the stuff that they have to do until the end of the tournament, so they can see who the winner is, so they can keep the information more secure. From there, we head to our hotel in town, and we run into Olivier. He's at the bar playing the song that he wrote about Joshua on the piano, and we catch up with him on what he's been up to, and it's drinking. And he was drinking with Aina and Shara, and they scared him with how much they could drink, so he ran away back to Gransel. He says that he saw Zane at the Calvard embassy, so we head that way to find them, and he invites himself along, as always. Zane is not at the embassy. He's gone out to meditate on the herb scenic route, so we head out that way to find him. So I have the words, he tells us that the royal villa is on that road, but I have no idea what that is. I think it's just the guy at the embassy.
Like 30 people tell us about how there's the villa on the road and we're not supposed to go near it.
Yeah. There was also people when we were walking over with Alba had told us, like, it's been constant that we need to avoid the royal villa.
I wonder if we'll end up going there.
Probably not.
It seems important. So we head out to the Herb Scenic Route, which is a gorgeous path where it's like a paved road that cuts through the forest. I really like the area. And while we're exploring, we hear a nun screaming for help. She's being attacked by monsters, so we hop in and take them out. More monsters show up while we're asking if she's okay, but then Zane shows up and he kicks monster ass with us. Helping people not die is apparently against the law because the men in black armor show up and say that we must be the terrorists. We explain that we're just racers coming to the aid of the nun, and they recognize Zane from the tournament, so they let us go, but tell us, again, don't go towards the villa. Back in town, we explain that we want to join Zane's team, and he's totally down with us. Us plus Zane make 3, and plus Olivier make 4, so we're totally prepared to fight.
Because Olivier is joining too, because that's what he does.
That's what he does.
I'm helping.
We tuck into the hotel for the night, and Joshua asks Estelle if she's okay because she's been acting so weird towards him lately. She's like, nothing, I'm just sorting my feelings out. And he's like, feelings about what? And she's like, don't worry about it.
I was really hoping here he would say, you have feelings? Just walk away. Anyway.
Anyway, so the next day at the tournament, we win our fight, and we find out that the Capuas have also joined the tournament, and they're like always under watch of some guards. We also see that the men in black are fighting in the tournament as well. After the match, the Ravens give us a key to go fight in the sewers to train, and I don't use it.
Oh, wow. I used it, and I'm not doing any bonus stuff this time.
Yeah, there's nothing really important there, but I'm on easy, so I didn't need to go and grind or anything.
Oh, so I'm a real gamer playing on normal, so...
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have had such a hard time with Karna's fight if I had been doing either of the sewer times, because you get like 3 total this chapter. But no, I didn't. So we head back to the guild and we tell Elnan what we learned about the Spec Ops and Capua teams, and Joshua tells Elnan what he knows about Lawrence. He asks Elnan what Elnan knows about Lawrence, but Elnan doesn't know anything. So Estelle is like, Joshua, like, you seem caught up with that guy in red. Like, what's up with that? Do you know anything? And he's like, no reason, nothing. ... mysterious boy.
I like how their whole thing is that they're so close to each other, but they never tell each other literally anything.
Literally anything at all.
What, isn't that how families work?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm just making sure it's not mine.
So Elnan tells us that a military patrol vessel has arrived at the landing port, and the person who was on it was Captain Almathea, who's on a quote-unquote tour of the major cities, which is obviously a cover for her searching for Professor Russell. Elnan says that the branches are watching Almathea, so we can just focus on the tournament for now. So we head to the hotel. When we're there, we run into Niall, and he is conducting interviews on the tourney contestants. He saw that we were in it, and he knew that we're always in the know about something, and so he's trying to get the scoop. He tells us that nobody's been able to confirm that the queen is actually sick, and he's trying to get some clear info that hasn't been cleaned up by the army because they've been covering everything up. So Estelle and Joshua, they decide to tell Niall what's up so that he can figure out some information. They can figure out some information. So they tell him what's been going on with Richard. Niall he says that he can't even write anything about it right now because the army censors already have, like, the last issue they rewrote like all of the articles like right before the final printing stage. So he like turned in his thing. The next morning he looks at the paper and it's not what he wrote at all. It's all propaganda bullshit. So he's like, I can't really do anything as a reporter, but I'll help you guys out. I'll see what I can dig up, see what my sources might know what's going on. So Joshua asks him to make a background check on Richard, Amalthea, and Lawrence. After that, we head back to the hotel room and we go to bed early. The next morning, we are free to train in the sewers if we want to, but I don't do it. And instead, I head to the arena where we run into Dorothy. She says that Niall has a message for us, and he wants us to come by the editorial department this evening, and it sounds serious. So we promise to go after the matches and head into our green room at the arena. In the green room, we're the other team that's shares the green room with us is the Capwas, and they say that they're there on the because Duke Doonan asked them to. He specifically called for them to participate and says that the better that they do, the lighter their sentence will get. But they say that that's not the only reason that they're there to fight, because they also want revenge on the special ops soldiers, because when they were working with special ops soldiers back in whatever chapter that was, the prologue in chapter 1, they got screwed over and double crossed, and they ended up in jail, even though the spec ops soldiers were kind of doing everything. And so we then, because we're not fighting them and we're not fighting the spec ops, the line characters, we are facing Karna's team, and it was real hard. How was it for you guys?
Wasn't too bad for me. I mean, it wasn't easy, but this was not the fight that scared me. The fight that scared me is coming up.
I don't remember it. No, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
I was just going to say,
No, I'll go ahead.
No, you! I don't remember. I remember thinking this fight was going to be hard, and then like it felt like it was going to be a harder fight than it was. Kind of this way for the whole tournament, but for reasons that will make sense in a later game.
But for me, it was like every time I started doing a little bit good, Karna would like revive everyone, and then I would have to go back and fight everyone again, or she would fucking Annalace's badass spoiler, she's your first party member in the second game, and I love her, but she has some magic Fist of the North Star ass special move that would like one hit kill anyone but Zane, and it was real hard for me. I probably should go and do the sewer dungeon. After the match is over, we head over to the liberal news place and see what he has to say. And so he's like, hey, I got the background checks on those people you asked for. He doesn't really say anything about Richard or Amalthea that's important. But for Lawrence, he says that no one knows how old he is. They don't know where he's from. All they know that he was in the Jester Hunting Corps, which was a Jaeger group. And other than that, they know nothing.
Can I just say, did I miss something, or does no one tell you where the liberal news is?
No one tells you where it is.
Because I had to look so long to find it.
I think it's like on the way to one of the places where you had to go and like find Olivier earlier, and so they are expecting you to have like bumped into it or something. But yeah, no one tells you. They just say, "Hey, go find him." Niall does say that they picked up some juicy tidbits while he was digging it up. For example, Julia Schwartz and Amalthea went to the academy the same year, and they were rivals in school. And he also says that Princess Claudia has been someone's been trying to set up an arranged marriage for her, and the person who's been setting up the marriage is Colonel Richard himself, which is a weird thing for someone not related to the royal family to be doing. And Niall then tells us that he wants us to get some information for him while we're at the dinner party so that he can write his expose on the queen not actually being sick. So we head on over to the guild, and we explain to Elnan everything that Niall found out. And Elnan is like, well, I think I've heard of the Jester Division before. I'll look it up and let you know what I figure out. And he says that regarding the hunt for Princess Claudia's future husband, the Erebonian crown prince will arrive in Gransel during the queen's birthday celebration. And Estelle says, I wonder what he's like. The only Imperial I've ever met is Olivier. And so Elnan is like, it's weird that they're pushing marriage so much because the princess just celebrated her 16th birthday. And Estelle and Joshua are like, we're just 16. I can't imagine there would be some girl our age from Gransel that his name starts with a KL that would be being forced to be married right now. Foreshadowing is strong in these parts.
Oh, well, I didn't pick up on that.
Oh, well.
I did now.
Surprise. I remember at the time being like, well, why'd they spell Claudia like that? It's almost as weird as they spelled Chloe early. Oh, okay. It checks out.
I don't judge people by how their names are spelled.
But I don't. We'll get there in several games. But and so we decide to head back to our rooms for the night, and on the way there, we get escorted back to our rooms by the guards who are out at night because security is really tight for some reason. So when we get back to the hotel, Joshua stops Estelle before we go into the room, and he's like, I think we have a trespasser and there might be explosives set, so we have to be super careful when we go into the room. So he like squeaks the door open, looks in, and the window is open, but there's just a letter left on the floor. And the letter says, tonight at the stroke of 10, come to the cathedral. Please tell no one of this. And then Joshua like gets real mean to Estelle. Like, she's like, okay, like, let's go. And he's like, no, I'll go by myself. You're just going to get in the way, et cetera, et cetera. And she's like, I'm a bracer too. I can handle myself. I won't slow you down. And she's like, I can tell you're just worried about me. And he's like, yeah, I totally am. And she's like, and it sounds like you're hiding something. And he's like, I'm not not hiding anything, but if you want to come with me, I won't try to stop you. And so then you have a stealth section. That sucks.
Remember how that last stealth section was really easy? This one isn't.
Remember how I thought that
not.
last stealth section was really hard?
Was this one worse?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was thinking of something clever to say, but I was just blinded by rage for a minute. Oh, no. I ended up just watching somebody play it and then following exactly what they did.
I'm just really glad that you can save anywhere in this game. So, like, every time I made it past a guard, I would save.
Yeah. That's smart.
And multiple times I ran into guards. It's important. But multiple times I ran straight into a guard because the camera was situated in a way where they were behind a building. And I'm just not good at cameras in games like this or Xenogears or something where it's just like a sprite-based game with 3D environments and you just rotate on a single axis. For some reason, that messes with me.
Yeah. The camera is not the best in this game. But, so we finally make it over to the cathedral, and Josh was like, okay, we're going to go in, but I want you to promise me something. If anything goes wrong, anything at all, you do exactly what I tell you. One wrong move could be fatal. And Estelle's like, what the fuck? And so they go inside, and Josh was like, never mind. Sorry, I totally misunderstood what's going on. And he obviously was expecting somebody to be there, but who is actually there is Julia Schwartz. She was the nun from earlier in disguise, and she's been in hiding ever since. And so she says that the Septian Church was one helping her stay hidden, and she's been she basically needs our help to take down Richard or whatever. And we say that we're fighting in the competition so that we can meet the queen, so we can tell her what's going on. And Julia says, when you speak to Her Majesty, heed her counsel, as in she knows what's up. Talk to her. And so she gives us a letter to give to the head maid of the castle to so that they'll know Julia sent her, and that can get us in to talk to the queen. She, of course, also knows Cassius, because every person in this entire fucking country knows Cassius. And she tells us that Cassius must have given up the sword when he decided to become a bracer. Like, she talks about how great of a swordsman he is, and Estelle's like, but he fights with a bow staff. And Julia's like, he must have given up the sword because he doesn't want to kill his enemies. He wants to he fights to just improve himself and to help those that are weaker than him.
Yeah, they're talking all about this, and I'm just imagining Joshua standing there holding his daggers.
Yeah.
Holding his assassin daggers.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. On mine, his daggers have a chance to paralyze all time. So they're like poison-tipped daggers. And he's like, yeah, definitely don't fight with blades. Got it. While we're talking, there's suddenly a knock on the door, and they're like, hey, we're looking around trying to find the terrorists. We're coming in. And Julia's like, there's a door at the back of the altar room. Get the fuck out of here. So we do. And while we're outside, we see that the patrols have lightened up because it's far enough after curfew. So they sit for a bit and before they head back to the hotel. And Estelle's like, okay, so if you weren't expecting Julia, who the fuck were you expecting? Is it somebody you knew before? He's like, and she's like, wait, sorry, I know the rules. I don't talk about your past until you're ready. I'm sorry. And he's like, it's overwhelming to think about all the people around us. Each and everyone is living his or her own life, all under the same sky. And every person that you meet has a personality and a history and a story to tell. Every one of them is just like us, living day by day. Sometimes I just have to remind myself that no one acts without cause. Nothing happens without a reason or a motive or an excuse. And it's only when I remember that I start to feel like I might be able to reclaim the parts of me that I've lost. And Estelle's like, what? And he's like, but I'm probably just fooling myself to think that I can change, but I know that I can't. But I promise, once everything is all said and done with, when we get Dad back safely, I'll tell you everything there is to know about my past. And Estella's like, cool. I also have something very big and important to tell you. So when you tell me your thing, I'll tell you my thing, and everything will go great. And it's a very cute scene. So the next day we make our way over to the arena or to the sewers if you're so inclined. But when you get to the arena, you're a little bit early, so you're really bored. So Zane and Olivier are like, we'll wait here for check-in. You guys just go hang out and walk around for a bit. And so you go for a walk around the stadium and you talk to all of your friends in the stands. And eventually you make it to the lobby where you meet Mayor Klaus from Roland from way back in the day. And so he says that he came to watch us in the arena. And Estelle's like, you came all the way from Roland just to watch us? And he's like, no. I got an invitation to be at a dinner party, and it came out of the blue. I wasn't expecting it, so like my wife couldn't come because it was last minute. But I decided to cheer you on while I'm here. And he says that the person who invited him was this officer lady, and we're like, it's probably Almothea being up to something. And Estella's like, well, if the mayor of our town is here, do you think that Mayor Maybell will be here too? Josh is like, probably. It seems like there will be a lot of influential people at this party. I hope something horrible doesn't happen. And so from there, we head back to our waiting room to get into to start our fight. And before the fight starts off, the Duke walks out, and this time Richard's there with them. Like, this whole chapter has gone from it's when it started, it was like, oh, the army is doing these things, and then like we know that that's a front for the Spec Ops, and then we see like Spec Ops doing more things themselves, and then we see now it leads up to this where Richard's just like flaunting the fact that he's actually in charge and Duden isn't doing shit. And Olivier mentions that Richard doesn't seem anything like he was back when we met him in Bose. And then we fight Lawrence. Was this the fight that was really, really hard, Bernard?
Yes. It took me forever because like everyone can revive everyone and they hit really hard and I used so many items and it was scary and it was hard and it was bad.
Yeah. And then Lawrence also has the thing where he can clone himself, and he if you interrupt any of his like spells or anything that he's charging, he then has like a special ability or something to go again right now anyways, because he's like real fucking fast. So he just keeps kicking your ass a lot. What about you, Matt? Did you struggle with this guy?
Trying to remember the fight because it's a while ago now. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember that.
Yep.
That's another one.
He's,
That's another one where I found a nice person who made some YouTube videos, and they said it'll be okay. This is how you do this.
Yeah. I wonder what it would be like to be back in the day, like in the late 90s or whatever, and a game comes out on the PlayStation and you play it that week and there aren't like game facts or anything else, and you just have this god-awfully hard game like all of the RPGs and shit were back then. I can't imagine. I've always played games with the game facts open, like since I was a child.
So we didn't
You
have
get good.
we didn't have internet at my house until I was 17. So like
God, you're a bumpkin.
everything I played up till that point was just, well, maybe I won't get caught at the library if I use a wiki, but I probably will. So let's just keep bashing our head against this, and twice a year I can look at the guides at Barnes & Noble.
Yeah. I miss like Prima guides, but mostly for RPGs, they were just like way too big because you're like, oh, we need to show you where every item in the goddamn game is. And so I started using game facts a lot more because A, I could Control F and find exactly what I needed, and B, it wasn't just like this huge tome to leaf through. I could just follow along easier there.
I had the Star Oceans Till the End of Time guide, and I couldn't let it rest on my lap because my leg would fall asleep. Because it wasn't a big book, it was just dense and heavy.
Yeah. So yeah,
I had a guide for Shadow the Hedgehog.
So I heard something. Speaking of Shadow the Hedgehog, I heard something this week. Did you know that game has like 360 endings?
Yeah.
What?
What the fuck?
It has extremely branching paths.
I have so many questions. First of all, what is Shadow the Hedgehog, the game? What is it?
It's a game starring Shadow the Hedgehog. He has guns.
Yeah, it's the one where they gave a Sonic character guns.
It's that one. Okay. Hold on.
Yeah.
I have to bring this up. Everybody gets to find out that I'm a very slow typer. Why does it have... How did they fit that many endings on...
A PS2 disc, who knows? But
I think the endings are slight variations.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
but I want
Also, I don't know that it's 360.
to. Let's see.
But I know it's a lot.
Yeah.
Basically, if I recall correctly, every level pretty much you can you can complete it in a good, neutral, or evil fashion.
Mm.
And so yeah, things branch based on whether you do things goodly, neutrally, or evilly.
Huh.
I think maybe it's 360 unique paths through the game, but only a
Yes.
handful of endings.
I believe
yeah.
that's it.
But yeah, that's nuts.
Still, that's super rad.
Yeah, super duper cool.
That game owns.
Yeah, I really want to play it. I've been coming to the realization. It started happening a little bit with Chrono Cross, but it's been happening more and more where all of these games that people told me were bad and horrible have been not very bad and not very horrible. So I want to go back and play them all and see if they're actually good, because people didn't really learn how to talk about video games until I don't know, 5 years ago. Like everything prior to that was just like there aren't enough graphics, and that was like the most you could talk about it. And so things that had, it's like with Mass Effect Andromeda. Mass Effect Andromeda had a bunch of bugs when it started, so everyone was like, "Oh, that game is bad. It has bugs," and no one talks about all of the other like nuanced ways it's bad or the ways that it might kind of actually be good. And so games would get a reputation real fast back in the day and would just be discounted whole cloth for stupid reasons. Like Final Fantasy 13, everyone was like, "Oh, there's no towns, everything's in a hallway, therefore it's bad," and not the battle system makes no sense, therefore it's bad, etc., etc. So I just want to learn all the things and play all these probably bad video games because they're probably good somehow.
A lot of people just like copy pasting opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just how they get their opinions on things, is they hear other people have opinions, and if that person's aesthetics and politics align with theirs, they just copy that opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And something I've been learning recently, just to add on to that, some people aren't willing to admit they're looking for an excuse to not play a thing. Like, to try and duck FOMO, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of phrasing it, "But this isn't for me," or "This isn't something I want to play," a lot of times the sentence comes out as, "Well, this, I've heard it's not very good."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I specifically mentioned because I'm guilty of that. But anyway.
Yes. But what is very good is Captain Lawrence's sword skills. And Joshua is like, "Hey, your sword technique, wait, no, never mind." And everyone's like, "What the fuck?" And so we eventually do beat Lawrence, and then we are called up to the grand stage to accept our prize, which is 100,000 Mira and our invitation to the dinner party. What's hilarious about this 100,000 Mira is we've been getting mini prizes the whole time through the tournament, and we already have access to the last shop in the game. So when they give you 100,000 Mira, you basically will just sit on it for the rest of the game because you've probably already bought all of the best equipment and have everybody with like a full kit at this point. But after the our winning ceremony, we see an aside where Colonel Richard is talking with Lawrence and Almathea, and he says that he told Lawrence to hold himself back because he doesn't want to reveal his hand too much, and he says that if Lawrence really fought as hard as he could, even Richard wouldn't have a chance in the tournament. And
I like how Richard is really powerful and really strong because in things like this, how influential and politically powerful you are correlates to how strong you are in a fight.
Mm-hmm. It has to be. He can't just be the intelligence division. He has to have been like Cassius's rival in the war and be real great at it because he has to. You got to be a final boss somehow. But so they were talking about their plans and gloating, and Almathea is like, "Hey, so speaking of Cassius, his kids are here. Shouldn't we do something to stop them?" And Richard, because they don't know that we're onto him yet, he's like, "Nah, let them come right into the castle I'm sure everything will be okay. They can't cause us any trouble. Everything is inevitable at this point. And it's not. So Lawrence says that the plan is 90% complete and that the final points will be laid out in the next few days. And then Colonel Richards says in a completely normal fashion that a new dawn fast approaches for this kingdom. And even if I must endure the stigma of treason, I shall pave the way for the glorious morrow. And then Evil laughs as the camera fades. I'm sure he's just misunderstood. So back at the arena, when we come out, Mueller is there, and he apologizes for all of the trouble that Olivier has caused us. And Olivier's like, no, it's cool. Like, I'm about to go to this kick-ass party. And Mueller's like, no, you won't. We're only barely not at war with these people, and you're a dumbass. And if you go in front of all of these people and people know that you're from Erebonia, it'll make us all look really, really bad. So it'll be a national incident if you go to this party. So you can't come. And so Mueller drags Olivier away. And so we then head to the castle ourselves. When we get there, the people recognize us from the martial arts tournament and welcome us into the castle. And inside of the castle, we hear a woman's voice welcoming everyone. And of course, it's Amalthea. And she instantly is like, Estelle and Joshua, like, what's up? It's been a while since Ice, right? Did you hear anything happening there? And Estelle keeps stumbling over her words. I wish it would come back to bite her in the ass how horrible she is at lying. But Joshua's like, no, we left everything to the full-fledged bracers. We just came here. We don't even know the follow-up report on what's happening. And she's like, oh, okay, well, with everything that the intelligence division can do, it's only a matter of time before we're arrested. Don't worry about it. And we're just like, cool. Don't look at us. So she tells this maid named Shay to take us to our rooms, and our rooms are super huge. And she's like, you can hang out here. There's some time before the party. You can explore the castle, but you can't go to the places that are off limits, which is the royal keep, the treasury, and the royal guard room. And we're like, oh, I guess the guards are still wanted for treason. And she's like, yes, but the special ops people are the ones that are in the guard rooms. You can't go there for that. And so we're like, okay, cool. Hey, Zane, you wait here. We're going to go walk around the castle for a bit and be back in time for the party. And so we set off to go talk to the head maid, Hilda. We finally get control, which means we stop and we save for the night. This is kind of a weird spot to stop for the night, but it was a good place as any. And this last chapter is like 3 times longer than every other chapter. And plot wise, it's super dense. Like normally for RPG Book Club, we will like sum up leave out whole sequences because it's just like a character moment. Here we can't really do that because all of the dominoes are being lined up, and it's like, oh, we can't, like the scene with where we were talking about, oh, Princess Claudia is going to get married to some Erebonian prince, but the only Erebonian that's in town is Olivier. I wonder if that's related. Like, that's just kind of a cute scene, but it sets up like Olivier shit that will happen later, and it's just a lot to get through. So we're cutting it up into manageable bite sizes. So let's listen to some song. Not sure which one just yet, but we'll listen to something and then we'll talk about the extra shit for this week. So, I actually missed some shit from last week, which is great because this last chapter has way less extra shit than usual. So this helps me spread it out over these last couple episodes. But the biggest side quest of last week that I didn't even talk about at all was a goose chase quest from a mysterious phantom thief. Not the same one as the week before. It's just the same basic thing. This time, a whole bunch of books are missing from the library, so you have to go and find them. The first couple you just get from the people who had them checked out, but then the librarian asks you to get another book that she's not sure who's borrowed it, but there was a card found in the return area with a cryptic clue on it. The librarian says that this is the sort of thing that happens all the time around here, so she's not worried about it, but she needs us to go get the books back. So the first clue is a really bad poem that takes us to the hot springs at Elmo. The second clue is just 4 dots in a square with an X in the middle, which obviously, as we all remember, refers to that area of the Trap Plains that totally exists and draws attention to the fact that it has 4 stones in a square. We all remember that spot. And then the last clue is really, really bad. It somehow leads to Stankheim Gate. Like, I didn't get it. Like, it's obviously says 3rd floor, but I don't know why you would think it's not the 3rd floor of the factory. I don't get it. So let's just move on. And then when we get to the last book, it has a note in it. And apparently a quartz researcher made a super kick-ass quartz, but he didn't want to give it to anybody. So he left these hints so that it would have to be someone intelligent that could find it. But instead, he got Estelle. And because this is a Trails game and this side quest involved books, you can read all of these books while they're in your possession. The first one is a sciencey book about how orb mitts work. Not very. It's kind of cool, but nothing really like super interesting. The second one is a translation manual for cat speak that I alluded to last week. That's the one, and everything that Antoine the cat says is inside the book, so you can translate everything that Antoine says, which is hilarious. And the third book is a cookbook that hangs a lampshade on the fact that most of your cooking ingredients you rip from the guts of monsters that you fight, and it's really gross. Talking about like boiling monster carcasses and shit. And then there's a bird watching book about the herb woodpecker, which is cool because it's talking about the place from the upcoming chapter. They've done that a couple times with the book so far. But what's really cool about this woodpecker is that it has a really small beak that's not actually good for boring its own holes. So it just steals the holes from other woodpeckers. But then an invasive species of woodpecker came in, so there weren't a lot of holes left. So the herb woodpecker is now like an endangered species because it couldn't do anything for itself. It was just a culture vulture for other sorts of woodpeckers. And then there's a young adult book that you get called Hertz's Adventure. It's a silly little like joke thing about a genie and tricking a genie. But what's hilarious about it is when you're talking to the librarian's like, only the first part is in the library, and so the patrons keep asking about the sequel, but I don't have it, so I need you to go and get the sequel so that everybody can do it, which is hilarious because when this game got translated, it was then 4 years until the next game in the series got translated. So everyone constantly was asking Exceed about the sequel. And so they couldn't have known it was going to take that long when they translated it. So it's just serendipity that it took us some 9 years after the game came out to actually get to it. And inside the game, they complain about that exact phenomenon. But the last book is a poem about a farmer who planted a bunch of cypress trees, which all have trouble growing. So he does more and more to get them growing, and then finally he had one huge cypress tree grow. And the last line of the poem says, "The good farmer Sheprot, in order to confect a single grand cypress, planted 32 cypress trees, and with his loving goodness for them all, brought 31 cypress trees to the depths of ruination." It's a really good poem. I highly recommend you look it up on the wiki. I really like it. But for this week, there are no side quests. You can go and explore in the sewers, but there are no quests in there besides just monster exterminations, which is no big deal. The city is huge, though, and so you can visit a couple cool places with cool shit. You can visit the Fisherman's Guild, which I think is hilarious because there's been like branches of the Fisherman's Guild in all of the towns so far, and there is no fishing sequence. There's like scripted visual novel style fishing mini games, but no like actual fishing in this game. So the fact that there's guilds everywhere is just for fun, and it's cute. You can also explore around the Liberal News headquarters to see where Niall and Dorothy work if you want. And then there's the History Museum that has a lot of stuff inside. Most of it is just your bog standard. This is an old pillar with an old ass carving in it, but there are a couple like deep lore tidbits that I feel might come up later. There's a mural from one of the tetracyclic towers, and all of them feature a priest wielding a staff and a winged god, but neither of those characters are Eidos. It's like this ancient, it's like basically ancient Greek mythology, but they're not quite sure what's going on yet, and none of it is about like their modern understanding of the theology and stuff. We learn about the ancient civilization of Zemuria, which had its peak 1,200 years ago, which then disappeared in the Great Collapse. And we learn that the church was founded in the year 500, but the first depiction of Eidos was in the year 900. So what the fuck was the church about for 400 years? I have no idea.
It was a knitting club.
Wonder if that'll come up. But because it was talking about church stuff and this is a JRPG, I don't trust them. So they probably were up to no good for 400 years, but we'll see. This time around for books, we get we can get a copy of the Liberal News that was written by the Intelligence Division, and the whole thing is hella propaganda, and it's cool to like when you get it before you learn that it is propaganda, but when you read it, everything is like the royal guards are horrible and they've done everything that's gone wrong in the past forever and you can't trust them. And here's an expose on how Julia Schwartz is the worst person in the world and all this other stuff. And it doesn't feel like Niall wrote it at all. And then you get to his part later and you realize, oh, he actually didn't write it, which is a cool little touch. For Carnelia, we actually can finish the whole book this week, but because there's like 6 entries and there's no side quests or optional content at all next week, I'll talk about Carnelia for next week's. So let us listen to yet another track of which I have not prepared, and then we will talk about our memorable moments. All right. What do you guys got?
I like how in-depth the battles have become. I'm having to use every part of the battle system, and it's been really fun. I also really like how and this has been a thing through the whole game, but characters who are supposed to be stronger than you are stronger than you. So, like, when Zen joins your team, and he's supposed to be this huge badass, he is really badass. He's a lot better than you. And when Olivier joined your team in Chapter 1, he was a lot better than you. Now he's sort of on the same level as you because you've gotten a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. What else? Did I have any specific moments that stood out? I'll see if I think of any while y'all talk.
All right. What about you, Matt? Do you have any that stuck out to you?
When Oliver gets dragged off, that whole scene is hilarious. I'm watching a GIF of it now. Like, my dinner party, my royal cuisine. You could hear it. You could hear it. It's so good.
Oh, I remembered something. So the quote nun unquote that you rescue does not have a face portrait. And Schwartz only has a face portrait when she's out of disguise. And you would think, oh, they just didn't want to do a face portrait. They didn't want to make another one. But this game is so maximalist, I believe they would make another one. But I like that they didn't, because it's like when Estelle and Joshua saw this nun, she was not an important person to them. She was just some rando NPC. And and it's also fooling us into thinking she's not important. It's like her disguise is working on us.
Yeah, it avoids the thing that always happens in JRPGs, where you walk into town and somebody has character design and you're like, oh, well, they're the party member. And so she just is the same nun NPC that you've been seeing everywhere. So you just completely and totally buy it.
Yes. So I like that.
I have an Olivier moment that I love, and it's right at the beginning of the chapter. So Mueller is coming in and is like, you're in trouble making me go all over this goddamn country, blah, 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 blah. And Olivier keeps like flirting with them and being a jackass. And Mueller's like, cut it out and talk to me like a normal person. And Olivier is like, no. All right. No clowning then. Don't play like that, brother. Give a man some information. Just lay it on me, man. And on the Evolution version, it's voice acted, and the voice acting is so over the top and great. And I love Olivier so much. And then another one I had is if you go to the liberal news place and you talk to the girl behind the counter, she goes, "Welcome to the liberal news. Despite our name, we're totally nonpartisan. I swear." Wink, wink. And it's great because we made that joke in like episode 1. Yeah, I don't remember the context for the other screenshots that I put in there, so won't say them there. But that's all I got. Anyone else have anything else they want to talk about before we wrap it up?
I want to echo Bernard's statement about the mechanics. That the gameplay on its face, especially for, I don't know, even like the first half of the game is kind of button win.
Mm-hmm.
And when it circles back around to actually making you engage with it, it really starts to click how good the combat system really is.
Yeah, I like this week with the fights, I was doing a whole lot of like Olivier would just be like holding on to his craft points so that he could interrupt spells because the spells would kick my ass if I didn't. And then Zane was doing a whole lot of like his taunt and everything. His taunt kind of sucks because it makes them have higher attack and lower defense, which is like fine, but these people are really, really strong, and so giving them that higher attack sucks because they then were hitting really, really hard. But I was still like drawing people with him and picking people off with Olivier so that Joshua could use Flicker and Estelle could cast magic and et cetera, et cetera. It was really dope. But yeah, that will do it for this episode. This series could not happen without the support of our Ko-Fi backers, so thanks to everyone who's been supporting us. If you're listening to this in the after times when it comes on the main thing, you can come and join us over at www.rpgbook.club, where you can access these episodes a month before everyone else does. Next week, we will be playing up until we enter the final dungeon. You'll know it when you see it. It's like an RPG dungeon, and we haven't had a lot of those in this game. So the moment you can control your character and you are inside of said dungeon, we will be saving. And then the week after that, we will finish this game. But for Book Club No Kiseki, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Houck.
Matt Jorgensen.
Adios, amigos. I have like a burp, but it won't come. It's annoying.